an original TV Land presentation.
On this episode of TV Land Confidential.
It's a spaceman, Fonzie, and he's after me.
What happens when an actor steals a show?
Between Thursday morning and Friday night, created a superstar.
No.
Why do some actors appear out of nowhere,
Was magically full grown.
while others disappear without a trace?
And that was it. I'd never had a wife after that.
How did producers manage to resurrect a character and bury a show?
I'm dead.
We've got the answers and the untold stories.
It's confidential.
Was it good for you? Knocked my socks off.
Today, we know them as superstars, but some of the most celebrated characters on TV didn't start out that way. They're called breakout stars. Whether by design or by accident, they managed to steal the show.
Edith, honey, lamb, you can rest easy now. Maudie is here.
It wasn't until Norman Lear came along who got me involved in All in the Family. And of course, it was Edith Bunker's liberal cousin Maud.
It was a question of civil rights or civil war.
We got civil war, Maud. We got riot in the streets.
It was the first time anyone had ever spoken back to Archie.
You know what I like about you, Archie?
What's that, Maud?
Nothing.
And then, as luck would have it, the president of CBS said, "Who is that girl? Let's give her her own show."
Norman Lear and Bud Yorkin originally created Good Times for Esther Roll and John Amos.
Then they cast JJ, and the first time I saw him, I couldn't believe anybody could be that thin and still be alive.
Get out of that blanket. You look like the tent pole of a teepee.
Alan Manning loved Jimmy Walker, and he thought he was so brilliant.
You are just a creative genius.
So one day, Alan was looking at him, and he had this little funny hat on his head, and Alan said, when you say the line, just say dynamite.
Dynamite!
He said, no, put more to it. And so Jimmy said, well, all right then, dynamite! That was the beginning of the whole dynamite thing.
I know.
At the same time JJ was enjoying Top 10 fame on CBS, over at ABC, another star was about to make his mark. Happy Days started out as a show about a teenager growing up with his family in the 1950s.
It was about Richie's first date, Richie's first car, Richie's first drink, Richie's first poker game, all of these things. The Fonzie role then was nothing in those days.
But the show didn't hit its stride to become a long-running hit until the public noticed Henry Winkler's take on the James Dean-esque biker.
At the end of the first year, we weren't that great. Fred Silverman was president of ABC then. He said, I want you to do two things. Put the show in front of an audience and write stuff for Fonzie.
Cease!
Gary Marshall really knew how to use his inventions to make it even more.
They were creating an anti-hero. What he did when he banged the jukebox was saying, the best you can be is to keep trying, and that's what it was about. He really just created that role.
They say I got a flair.
How do castmates react when a minor character turns into a superstar?
When you're hired to do a job and all of a sudden the job changes, the character changes, your relationships change, you can take it emotionally.
What should I do?
Gary Marshall was very smart. He sat us down and explained to us what was going to happen and why. He said, don't let ego interfere. Henry's going to get a lot more attention, but you'll get your share too. What's important is the show. If the show's successful, you're successful.
Lightning striking once for a hit show is almost too much to hope for. But on Happy Days, it happened twice. In 1977, with Star Wars a mega hit at the box office, one young fan asked his producer dad for a favor.
Gary Marshall's son asked his dad to do a segment about a spaceman. It was the worst script we ever had.
It's a spaceman, Fonzie, and he's after me.
They cast some guy in the morgue part, and it was terrible. I mean, it was just not working.
Came home right after I saw the flying saucer.
Wednesday, this guy quits. The guest star quits.
With shooting just a day and a half away, producers scrambled to find anybody who would fill the role. Luckily, a friend of the producer had caught the stage act of an unknown stand-up comic.
And in came Robin Williams.
This is camera blocking day. We're shooting Friday night. No one's ever there. And there's Robin Williams improving the whole show. Improving the whole show.
We must introduce the local celebrities.
It was genius. It was like a light on the set. Between Thursday morning and Friday night, created a superstar. Total fluke.
No. Well, there's more spinning off.
Spin-off he did to Mork and Mindy, a 4-year mega hit that later led Williams to big screen fame.
It's an accident. It's a wonderful accident when a character breaks out, and it changes everything.
It's like we all of a sudden got a miracle.
On Family Matters, what happened was we needed a script real fast. So we had an old script that we had written for something else. We took that script and we converted it overnight into an episode for Family Matters. In that script, that old script, was a character called Steve Urkel.
I walked in as the character and I walked out as the character. And I'd never done that before for an audition. At 12, I'd never done that before. I just said, you know, I'd be the nerd, never let them meet Jalil. I was supposed to be a week, that was it.
What was just kind of a interesting, quirky character on paper, all of a sudden it took on a life of its own.
I have to tell you, Mr. Winslow, when my dad said you fixed me out with Laura, why, I thought I'd wet my pants.
All I wanted to do was just be the funniest guy I could possibly be with the material I was given.
It was wonderful chemistry. It really was.
Ooh, that's mighty powerful stuff.
Another TV kid with great chemistry broke out from the commercial world.
It just took America by storm.
7-year-old Mason Reese found fame pitching Underwood Deviled Ham.
Like having a burgers one.
There were no kids that looked like me before that. They were all blue-eyed, little blonde-haired kids, very all-American. I came out there with a very strange look, very different voice, red hair, freckles. There was something about me that seemed to click with these people. After the age of 6½, I never had to audition again. Either you wanted Mason Reese, or you didn't want Mason Reese.
He became a most wanted kid.
Women used to come up to me and ask me to take parts of my hair out of my head so they could send it to Clairol to get a color match. President Carter wanted me to actually tour with him.
Mason was everywhere.
Sitcoms, variety work, every talk show known to man, cover of TV Guide. I was a newscaster for NBC for a very short period of time, where I did little 5-minute pieces that would relate to the entire family.
This is Mason Reese.
I'm very lucky because I truly was able to transcend television commercials.
Producer David Jacobs got lucky twice when he started pitching a nighttime soap opera about a suburban community and accidentally struck oil.
The pitch was Knots Landing. David wrote extensive biographies for all the characters, you know.
CBS had said that we like the idea, but make it more sexy, make it more about power.
The network liked Ted Shackelford's character so much, they wanted that expanded.
So Dallas did premiere first with a different viewing at the helm.
When Dallas was first created, that show was created for Patrick Duffy and Victoria Principal, which was Pam and Bobby.
Rounding out the cast of characters were Larry Hagman and Linda Gray.
I was kind of an afterthought. I was never to be a featured character. I would sit there saying nothing. There was no dialogue for Sue Ellen.
Larry went to Linda in the first year and said, we have to make this show ours.
Larry and I started kind of kibitzing on the set. And he would say something about, Sue Ellen, you forgot to sew a button on this shirt. And I'd say, darling, I don't sew on buttons. You know, we would do this stuff, not dialogue, kind of an improv thing. And I think they saw it in the cutting room at CBS.
That became JR's show. And that's because Larry Hagman embraced that role to no end.
You hated him, but you loved him. He was evil, but boy, was he sexy. He was vile and disgusting, but God, he was attractive.
There's nobody like Larry. He said, you know, all those years on I Dream of Jeannie, nobody's gonna remember that. He says, I'm gonna die and they're gonna think J.R. Ewing.
Fonzie moves in and Chuck moves out.
One episode, Chuck never existed. He was gone.
When TV Land Confidential returns.
On the next TV Land Confidential.
Out of that episode, I was offered Magnum PI, and Don Henley asked me out.
She just lost it.
It's actually been really hard on my friends and family and loved ones. Your friends with Nellie Olson,
Why?
Get the dish on being bad, on camera and behind the scenes.
Evil, what can I say?
TV Land Confidential, the untold stories. Next Wednesday at 10 p.m. only on TV Land.
Homeowners, is poor credit stopping you from getting a loan? We'll give you the green light for up to $50,000, even with a bankruptcy. Call
866-66-FASTER. You've got the green light.
Pass the Country Crock mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes from Country Crock? Yep, mashed potatoes from Shed's Country Crock. One of 4 side dishes, ready to serve in 5 minutes. And the taste?
Pass the potatoes back.
Hold on, we need to talk this over. I see. We're going to have to get back to you on that one.
Country Crock side dishes, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, and rice. Find them in your grocer's meat or deli section.
Ordinary toothbrushes can't stand up to it. New Oral-B Triumph. Triumph is the first brush with an onboard computer to help you brush better, and a floss action brush head to power clean deep between teeth. That means dramatically cleaner teeth and healthier gums. Get a smile you can feel triumphant about. New Oral-B Triumph. Brush like a dentist.
Attention Medicare seniors. Is the cost of your breathing medication a burden? We can help. Call Med4Home now at 1-800-847-3740. Is opening multiple vials confusing? With medications such as Duoneb and Zopanex, you can simplify your breathing treatments. Med4Home delivers right to your door and handles all the Medicare paperwork for you. So give us a call at 1-800-847-3740. We're here to help you.
Homeowners, is poor credit stopping you from getting a loan? We'll give you the green light for up to $50,000, even with a bankruptcy. Call
866-66-FASTER.
Wreck, collision, accident. Call the lawyer all your friends call. Jim Sokoloff, the injury lawyer. Get paid all the cash, the medical benefits, the money damages the law says are yours. Jim Sokoloff has battled and bloodied every major insurance company in New England for more cash, more benefits. Get it all. Get it now. Call the lawyer your friends all call. Jim Sokoloff. Call 1-800-308-3254. 1-800-308-3254.
I'm Todd Rizzo, and I'd like to invite you to the Rizzo Autumn Spectacular with prices like $187 a month for a 2006 Ranger XLT, a 2006 Ford 500 all-wheel drive SEL, $287 per month, a 2006 Ford Explorer Eddie Bauer 4-wheel drive, overloaded with features including 18-inch chrome wheels, just $287 per month, or a 2006 Ford F-150 Super Cab, just $347 per month. It's a beautiful time here at Rizzo Ford. Come be a part of it all. Nobody beats the Riz.
851296.
Why is Lucille Ball on the set of Three's Company? Is that John McLaughlin grilling the cast of Cheers?
What is Sam's philosophy of life?
Who knew Henry Fonda was an All in the Family fan?
There's a little bit of Archie in all of us.
It must be TV Land's Flashback Fridays. Reunions, retrospectives, and reflections. It's your favorite shows, stars, and classic clips.
Pork chop.
Not for Shosh.
Flashback Fridays. Every Friday night at 8, starting October 21st, only on TV Land.
And I am then going to proceed to make my wife disappear. A trick which any husband should appreciate.
TV characters can go missing in action for any number of reasons. Even pets can disappear. First, the Brady's cat Fluffy.
Grab him!
And later, their dog Tiger. Simply vanish. Bad enough when a pet goes missing without an on-air explanation. But a kid? Nobody seemed to notice when youngest Winslow daughter Judy disappeared from Family Matters.
She went upstairs and went to her room and didn't come down.
It was about money. They cut the one actor in the cast that probably made the least.
A crowded cast can lead to some downsizing.
Hi, Popsy.
Especially when a breakout character grabs more screen time.
Because anytime one character on a series suddenly breaks out, it's always hard on the others because the series changes.
When Fonzie became Richie Cunningham's mentor,
Well, the guys weren't following your orders. What would you do? Shoot them? Shoot them?
older brother Chuck didn't have a whole lot to do.
Gary Marshall and the other two producers said, look, we just don't have enough material to service this role.
Right, Chuck?
Right, Dad. And there was a very good actor, but for some reason it wasn't working, and they thought, well, maybe it's the chemistry.
Hey, Dad.
So they bring in another actor.
Is that you, Chuck?
And we simply ignored it, you know, like the Witch had done with their two Darrens.
Didn't work. One episode, Chuck never existed. He was gone.
Chuck's not here.
Well, I'll be his proxy, Mary, and he's not much help anyway. He's always bouncing his basketball while I'm talking.
After the second season, Gary decided we don't need Chuck. Chuck's at college.
Shoot.
So I said, what do? We send a postcard every week? We had letters from Chuck for a little while. Denial was in fashion back then. So we thought, maybe they won't notice. And we just didn't mention Chuck again.
We've had the joy of raising two wonderful kids. So the audience used to ask, what did you do with Chuck? And Gary would always say, well, he's on a 12-year scholarship at the University of Outer Mongolia.
Barney, get the kids up for breakfast.
Other shows have broken up families without explanation.
The original pilot was called The Life and Times of Barney Miller, and it was half at home
And a rotten movie.
and half in the precinct.
And for some reason, the squad room stuff just seemed to work better.
You know I never discuss police business at home.
I had a wonderful wife. Barbara Barry was my wife the first season.
I'm Elizabeth Miller. I'm Barney's wife.
The second season, they tried to give her a career. They made her a social worker, and for about 2 episodes, she would come and tell me what she was doing as a social worker.
I know it's none of my business, Barney, but I really don't think you have any right to blame yourself for what happened.
In the 4th season, I could see there's not going to be a future for this woman.
Well, I guess I better be getting home.
The kids just disappeared. What was I going to do? You know, keep coming to the precinct house with no job?
And then it became obvious, and Barbara said, hey, why don't I just go home? And that was it. I'd never had a wife after that.
He ran off with Chuck Cunningham.
When My Three Sons hit the screen in 1963, no one ever mentioned Steve Douglas's late wife.
Not a mention. We never talked about the mother. We used to get letters all the time. What happened to the mother? Nothing about, gee, Dad, I miss Mom. Producers just felt, this is a comedy. The original series had Mike, Robbie, and Chip.
Actor Tim Considine left the show in 1965. His character, oldest son Mike, married and moved east and was never heard from or spoken of again.
When Mike left the show, he was gone. That was it. We didn't have an older brother anymore.
That's television, you know. Once you're gone, they don't want anyone to remember. You know, we're moving on.
Not quite so fast.
You couldn't have My Three Sons with 2 sons.
Without a wife, where would Steve come up with a 3rd son?
There's no nepotism in Hollywood, right? So my little brother, Barry, got the job.
I was the friend next door, and I was, you know, like waiting in the bullpen.
It just seemed a logical step to get Barry to be one of the sons. Well, how do you do that? He lives next door. So, of course, the way you do it is you get rid of the parents. How did we get rid of the parents? We're not saying. Suddenly, Ernie was an orphan, and he became the 3rd son. So we all moved up a level. Robbie became the oldest, and Chip became the 2nd, and Ernie was the 3rd son.
But if you missed those shows, you'd go, who's this kid? How did he get on the show? Why is he here? You know, I mean, he was a friend. Now he's living in Chip's room.
In 1971, it was Don Grady's turn to move on.
My contract was up the 11th year. And I was done. I wanted to go on to music, and so I left the show.
With 2 original sons down and only 1 original left, suddenly Robbie and Katie's triplets became the title characters.
They wouldn't write me out.
As for Robbie, he was gone, but unlike his older brother, not forgotten.
They came up with several versions before we shot the last season. One was we had been divorced. One was he had died. And they actually were going to go with that one. And CBS said, you're not going to do that. This is a sitcom. So they had him building an airstrip in Peru or Venezuela or someplace in South America.
That was it.
Coming up next, Pam Ewing's dream turns into a nightmare for Knots Landing.
Pam wakes up, Bobby's in the shower, bingo.
When TV Land Confidential returns.
A real thief ran around the corner, shoplifter, onto the set.
Want to hear more from the stars on TV Land Confidential? Log on to tvland.com for extended interviews plus bonus footage and a sneak peek at the next episode of TV Land Confidential. Go to tvland.com for TV Land Confidential extras now.
An important message for anyone over 50 with diabetes or risks for heart disease. You may have poor leg circulation that could be a condition called peripheral artery disease, or PAD.
Dr. Torman, is PAD a serious condition?
Yes, because it increases your risk of heart attack or stroke up to 6 times. You see, poor circulation in the legs can be a sign of poor circulation throughout your body, including your heart and your brain.
There's information available to help you learn more.
Now, doctor, does everyone with PAD have symptoms?
Not necessarily. You may experience pain or heaviness in the legs when walking. If you're less active, you may not notice any symptoms.
Is there a test for PAD?
Yes, it's simple, and if you're diagnosed, treatments are available to reduce the risk of heart attack or stroke.
Learn how to reduce your risk. Call 1-800-438-7916 today for your free information about PAD, diagnosis, and treatment options.
Consolidate bills and lower your monthly payments with a $49 flat fee second mortgage from Ditech.com.
Lost another loan to Ditech.
Log on to Ditech.com or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
Want younger-looking skin in just 14 days? Revlon Age-Defying Makeup with Bodifirm. Reduce lines up to 50% in just 2 weeks. Age-Defying Makeup with...
A lot of people who call Empire today want to know what kind of carpet can you get installed next day. Truth is, it's as good or better than the stores. With Empire, you choose from quality brand names right in your home. And yes, Empire really does install next day. And no, that doesn't cost extra. In fact, you'll save with warehouse direct prices. Plus, no payments till 2007. Call Empire today. You'll see.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. I want another championship so bad, it hurts. But I work through it. With the icy hot sleeve.
Joint-hugging pain medicine that starts icy to dull the pain, then gets hot to relax it away.
Get the icy hot sleeve. Hard-working pain relief.
When I hit the ball, the pain hits me.
Capsaicin Cream. Stronger relief each time you use it. So strong, you've got to feel it for yourself.
I can't feel the pain. I'm stunned.
Capsaicin Cream. Relief beyond belief.
And for a money-saving coupon.
Oh boy, here they come.
New episodes of Nick at Night's Fatherhood are coming.
That's good. I could use a few laughs.
And everyone's talking about it.
Really?
That's great.
What do you think, Mr. Bummy?
So whether you're already a Bindle Beat fan
Holla.
or have yet to discover Nick at Night's first original animated series, get ready for brand new episodes of Fatherhood. It all begins this Tuesday night at 9:30 with 2 back-to-back premiere episodes.
Over there! Kind of a letdown.
TV characters have a habit of disappearing.
I hate to see you leave, Alice.
They also have a knack for appearing out of thin air.
Hi there!
For the producers of The Cosby Show, the magical addition of a fifth Huxtable was all about keeping it real.
Cosby Show, practically every show, started somewhere from Bill's own experience with his kids.
When The Cosby Show first went on the air, the script and Bill's real life didn't quite add up.
What happened is that in the pilot, he comes home and the kids have driven Felicia crazy. And the line in the show was, why did we have 4 kids? And he says, because we didn't want to have 5.
In real life, he has 5 children. I think after he saw that the show was going to be a success and it might go, he wanted all of his children represented. So he wanted the eldest daughter, who was away at college, to come home.
We just added a daughter.
Just magically, full grown, there she is.
I'll be back here. I will.
Actors come and actors go.
Have a good life.
Sometimes they get to come back again.
Hello, everyone.
Killing off a major character on camera makes bringing them back an impossible dilemma. But for Leonard Katzman, producer of the hit show Dallas, the death of Bobby Ewing was just a minor inconvenience.
Lenny Katzman said Patrick Duffy wants to leave the show. He wants to die, and we're going to have your character come back and kill him. We did the car accident scene. They did the reveal that it was me.
Soon after Bobby's death, the show's ratings began to decline.
Leonard left the show one year, and somebody else was in charge of it.
But a year later, Katzman returned to Dallas and didn't like the changes made in his absence.
Lenny Katzman calls and he says, "How do you feel about coming back to the show?" I said, "Lenny, I'm dead." He said, "What if you're not?" I said, "But Patrick's dead. What if he's not?"
So one night, Patrick got the famous phone call. "Hi, Patrick, it's Larry. Do you want to come over to Malibu and come and have some champagne and sit in the hot tub?" And Patrick talked to his wife and he said, "You know what? I think Larry's going to ask me to come back." The big problem is, how do we weave him back in?
All of us came back, and the line was, "It was all a dream."
Making the whole season a dream was a surefire way to bring Bobby Ewing back to life. In the season finale, Pam Ewing woke up to find Bobby alive and well in the shower.
He found out the whole thing was a dream and he stepped out of the shower.
Patrick Duffy went to a soundstage supposedly to film an Irish Spring soap commercial. So they just cut off the Irish Spring thing, and then they edit the other part into the show.
Katzman's solution worked like a dream for Dallas.
You know, the reaction on the set of Dallas was delight. Everybody loved Patrick. You know, he's back, it's great, it's wonderful, Bobby's back.
But it turned into a nightmare for its sister show, Knots Landing.
I said, whoa, wait a second. I said, what about Knots Landing?
We had to ignore that part because we had written the entire season based on Bobby's death. My little twins were named Betsy and Bobby after Bobby, the whole 9 yards.
There's those kind of things you say to yourself, well, that's somebody else's logic, it's not mine.
Despite Bobby's resurrection, Dallas's ratings continued to tumble.
You know, a lot of people hated it. A lot of people lost interest in the show because they thought it was stupid and corny and all that stuff.
If someone else could give a better suggestion, I'd love to hear it. I still haven't heard one.
Ah, the magic of television.
Part of that magic lets actors die many deaths on TV.
I've been killed in so many movies and so many TV shows that it's become almost routine now. Sometimes I don't even expect to live.
When a character gets killed off, it affects the show and the viewers.
Daddy, please don't go.
Yeah, Dad. They had just killed my character off of Good Times.
We regret to inform you that your husband, James Evans, was killed in an automobile. Oh, my God.
I was in the supermarket, and as I came around the frozen food section or something, there's a little girl about 5 or 6 years old. She took a look at me, and she started screaming. She said, "Mommy, that's JJ's daddy, and he's dead."
Whether your favorite characters just disappear or a producer decides to make them reappear, you'll always find their stories on TV Land Confidential. See you next time.
On the next TV Land Confidential.
I was offered Magnum PI, and Don Henley asked me out.
She just lost it. Get the dish on being bad, on camera and behind the scenes.
Evil, what can I say?
TV Land Confidential. The Untold Stories. Next Wednesday at 10 p.m. only on TV Land.
I want us to watch Jack Lemmon and a group of famous scientists discuss pollution and ecology on Channel 13.
Good. And I want to watch football highlights on Channel 2. Now, guess what's going to happen?
Much of what the audience sees on the screen is a result of what happens behind the scenes.
Quick, the kids are on television!
And producers and actors go to great lengths to keep the tricks of the trade a secret.
I would never say how they had talked. Except I started a lie saying, well, you know, you ever get peanut butter under your lip when you were a kid and you tried to get rid of it? Well, that's how Ed talked. But that's not true.
Of all the people on Earth, you picked me to talk to. How come?
Well, I got tired of talking to parrots, and you were the next move up.
For Alan Young, his relationship with Mr. Ed was more than TV magic, and it continued after the show ended.
I used to go and ride him every morning. Ed was smarter than we thought because we're riding along. Lester and I would talk as we rode along the trails. And suddenly Lester burst out laughing. He said, "Alan, take a look. When you stop talking, Ed starts to move his lips." He was joining in the conversation with the two of us.
I'm out of this.
Years before he played the wannabe stud on Married with Children, David Faustino was not so smooth with the ladies.
I did Little House on the Prairie. I was 5 years old. There's a scene where this girl is supposed to run up to me and give me a kiss.
He's just a little shy, that's all.
I literally started just panicking, and I started crying. I felt like the other extras were gonna make fun of me, and I was terrified. We had to hold up production for like an hour while me, my mother, and Michael Landon went and sat on another part of the set, and he had to talk me into it.
It's all right, Josh. Houston's gonna be all right.
The pep talk must have worked because Faustino kissed her. Twice. On My Three Sons, the challenge was working with a TV actor who was also a movie star.
It was the strangest show I have ever filmed in my life because Fred McMurray was never there.
He was a huge star, so they had to work around his schedule, and that's how they got him on the show.
McMurray had a deal that said that he would only work 3 months out of the year.
When he was there, it was all about Fred. Any scene that Fred was in, Fred's close up, let's move on.
We would do scenes from maybe 13 different shows in a day.
You'd go back, 4 or 5 weeks later, and then you would start shooting all the other scenes that surrounded that scene.
One scene we were already engaged, another scene we were breaking up, another scene we were making out.
You had to wear your hair the same every day. Don't put a ribbon in it. Don't put a barrette in it. Don't do anything.
It frustrated Beverly and Tina because they couldn't change their hair and they wanted to do something different.
I mean, if you had a pimple, it better be in the same place.
During the episode where they got married, she had to beg to have a different hairstyle for the wedding.
The hectic scheduling occasionally caused the My Three Sons actors to forget which episode they were shooting.
I can remember walking down the stairs, very, very sad. And the director said, cut. I said, what's the matter? He said, Beverly, this is the birthday party. I said, what? He said, this is the birthday party. You're happy. This is not when she has the mumps. Oh, sorry. So you couldn't remember what the you were doing.
So how do you deliver your lines to an actor who isn't there?
He was so tall, so they'd find some sort of stand and they'd stick a mop up there and they'd go, that's your eye line. That's where you got to look for Fred.
I'm not talking to Fred. I'm talking to the script lady who's got a mop holding it up about 6 feet 6 high, and I'm like, in fact, we used to call it Fred McMop.
My Three Sons couldn't accommodate an audience. All of the family started out with one, but that changed.
Come on, tell me. I'll give you a dime.
By the time I was on the show, we weren't taping in front of a live audience.
That's right.
What do you know?
Once a week, after the show was edited and done, they would have an audience come in, and then Carol would show up and kind of introduce the episode.
May I be excused?
No.
Yeah.
And an audience would watch the finished episode, and that's how they would get their laugh track.
Hurry up back to that dopey school you go to.
If it's dopey, why do I have to hurry back?
Because society, you see, they don't know what else to do with you.
Whether you're flying through the air or battling bumblebees, in the world of television, everyone's got a story. The insights, anecdotes, and untold stories are limitless. Some hazardous, some hilarious, and until now, all of them confidential. See you next time.
On the next TV Land Confidential.
You couldn't have My Three Sons with 2 sons.
Get the backstory and the characters who stole the show and the ones who disappeared without a trace.
All of a sudden, I never existed.
TV Land Confidential, the untold stories about your favorite shows from the people who were there. Next Wednesday at 10, only on TV Land.